This is Stu Peters. He's a full-blown Hitler-loving neo-Nazi. He has said, wasn't Hitler a hero for doing these things in the Holocaust or whatever? Absolutely insane. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
I was like, does Rob Smith, is he really coming on in a couple of days? Does he understand the things that I'm going to ask him about?
I think Rob Smith is a gay conservative, if I'm not mistaken. And this dude is like as vile as they get. Just bottom of the barrel, disgusting shit that he says about like gay people and, you know, all kinds of other people.
Well, yeah, Mr. Peters, he wants to come on and talk to you about the military specifically. Now, what about the military does he want to talk about? Well, he wants to talk about how Trump, reinstated all these people with back pay and that he did away with, mentally ill freak shows in the military.
Yeah, he does that a lot. Sorry, I'm going to have to cut a lot of this out.
Okay, yeah, I would love to talk about freak shows in the military.
Okay, we're jumping forward.
The first thing that President Trump does, the first hand that he shakes at Mar-a-Lago, when he's not just a block away from the D.C. gulag where he's intending on signing an executive order to pardon, patriots that are being held as prisoners of war on U.S. soil, he doesn't go down the block immediately after inauguration to stand outside the gulag and say, free my people.
Stu Peters is about to complain about the fact that Donald Trump didn't free the January 6th people as his like first act or whatever.
When he's not just a block away from the D.C. gulag where he's intending on signing an executive order to pardon, patriots that are being held as prisoners of war on U.S.
Not patriots, traitors to the U.S. government, seditionists, but okay.
Soil, he doesn't go down the block immediately after inauguration to stand outside the gulag and say, free my people.
Like Moses or something?
Instead, he goes and he parties and dances with homosexuals like Rob Smith while the YMCA is performed.
Okay. Who is this dude? Why does he have a shit-eating grin on his face right now?
I mean, do you see why I have a problem with this? And then I say something about it and people are like, yeah, no, this is just normal. All of this is just normal. We're supposed to accept this watering down of what conservatism actually is.
And what is conservatism, Stu? Is it just hating gay people?
No, I don't identify as a conservative anymore because look at who does. I don't want to be lopped in or looped in or grouped in with these people who call
lopped in. Does he know what that word means?
Call themselves conservatives. How are you a homosexual conservative exactly? What are you conserving by having sex with the same sex? I just don't understand that.
I mean, that's not the thing that they're conserving, obviously. They claim to conserve money. What are you conserving by trying to impose your will on other people? Are you conserving liberty as the, conservatives claim that they're doing sometimes? That's not conserving liberty.
And it's like controversial to talk about it. Well, excuse me, but trans are dangerous.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why he's like this. He's the biggest scumbag on planet Earth. He's worse than Alex Jones because I think Alex Jones really believes this stuff. It seems like he believes it. Stu Peters, I don't know if he believes it or not, but he is a vile, disgusting scumbag with some of the things that he says.
Not just in the military. First of all, let's talk about the military. Who in the military wants to serve alongside of a trans?
Okay, we're jumping forward again.
Even knowing that our military fights on behalf of Israel, I still honor the individuals who have been programmed and brainwashed and gaslit their entire lives to believe that the military is actually securing, our constitutional rights, like the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, which is meant to protect the First Amendment, and that our military is protecting us from a physical invasion, and that our military is defending the God-given rights of American citizens. And that our military is protecting America.
Yes, military good. Awesome, thank you.
And spreading democracy. And that's what's just
spreading democracy? You're in favor of that now?
Beaten into you from the time that you're very young through corporate media and through your boomer parents and from Uncle Stan, who've all been in the army and they've all paid their taxes and they're all patriotic and they've done their part.
He's framing this like it's a bad thing. Paid your taxes.
But I honor those guys, and I honor the individuals that are walking into a recruiting station right now and enlisting in the armed forces. I honor those guys because they're making a cognitive decision to go and die for their country.
Well, you could have fooled me about honoring them.
There's nothing more patriotic than the thought of shedding blood and dying for your country. and being willing to do it. I mean, that's some nuts on the table shit.
I love that. That's a funny phrase. I'm going to use that moving forward. Nuts on the table.
That's what we do here. This is nuts on the table journalism. I'm a nuts on the table kind of guy.
You're a scumbag, Stu. There's a difference between saying it like it is and saying it like a complete piece of shit.
So I honor those guys that are doing that. And they're willing to go and die to secure our First Amendment. Yeah, okay, fine. But if you ask all of those guys that are enlisting, so your battle buddy is this, and she's been taking pill bottles full of hormones and testosterones and whatever. She cut her.
I don't even think what he's portraying here is complete inaccurate misrepresentation of anything. It has nothing to do with anything, but okay.
It's off. So, but this is your battle buddy. And I'm going to go to war. I'm going to go to some forward combat war zone.
I mean, he would say the same thing about Jews. It's not just like trans people. He doesn't like Jews in the same way. He believes that Jews are tricking people, these crafty Jews, taking advantage of people and lying, and they're shifting all that other shit. So don't pretend that you're really a good guy outside of this one thing and you're just standing on biblical values. He's a white supremacist, as he said earlier in the previous part.
And the person whose hands I'm placing my life into is that of a mentally ill and deranged woman who mutilated her body, believes that she's a man and wants to go. What?
Brother, that is liberty. Welcome to liberty. People can do whatever they want. That is what you are fighting for. This is why Stu Peters could never be in the military, not long term. He couldn't make it in the military. In fact, I think he was a bounty hunter. He went around looking for fugitives and hogtied them and beat the shit out of them and brought them to court. I think that was his job before political commentator. But when you're in the military, people have an overriding purpose that they stand for. It's liberty. It's the right to do what you want to do with your life, by and large. It's to protect the people at home. And you trust your platoon, your unit, whatever, with your life to the core. There is no room for black or white, gay or straight, man or woman. In the military, this person is watching your back and you will trust them or you will be dishonorably discharged. You will trust that they'll have your back and they aren't genetically inferior or you'll be discharged.
No, I'm not okay with that. So I think it's really dangerous. I think it's really dangerous for these mentally ill people, to be receiving that kind of training.
Why? I mean, let's follow it through for a moment. They're not mentally ill. This isn't a mental illness. But let's follow it through for a moment anyway. Let's just hypothetically say, do you think that they're going to come gun you down or something? Why? Why would they come and gun you down? What reason would people have to be upset with you in any way? He says we shouldn't give trans people training, like military training, because we want to be able to take them out if need be, I guess, right?
And then, being released into our society, I think that that's bad. Even if they don't have an incident while they're in the military, they've received now a whole lot of advanced training and weaponry, and then they become dangerous in the streets and in real life.
We want them to be helpless so that we can do what we want to them, I guess, is the point here, right? What a colossal piece of shit, honestly.
Look at all of our school shootings. How many of the recent school shootings can be credited to a gender dysphoric, mentally ill?
Like one? Any? What are you talking about? This is a talking point on the far right that trans people are committing all of the school attacks. It's bullshit, of course, all the way down. Complete bullshit. These people say it's every single school attack. Let me just read this thing from Reuters about it. Reuters is a super trustworthy news network. Fact check, most mass school shootings are not carried out by trans people. The mass attack at a Georgia school on Wednesday, this was September 6, 2024, on Wednesday sparked a narrative on social media that all mass attacks at schools in the U.S. in recent years have been carried out by trans people, which is false. 14-year-old Colt Gray killed 2 students and 2 teachers and wounded 9 others at the Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, on September 4th and is being charged as an adult. A Facebook post that suggests Gray identifies as trans reads in part, quote, "Every single mass school attack in the last 2 years has been carried out by a trans individual." Here's the rest of the post that's false. Oh man, they cut part of it off. I can't read the whole thing. Do they give us the whole thing? No. He's transitioning and in hormonal therapy. Barrow County Sheriff's Office has released the booking photo of Colt Gray, the 14-year-old student accused of killing 4, hospitalizing 9 in the deadliest attack in Georgia history. Gray's been charged with 4 counts of murder, and addition charges are expected, quote unquote, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Again, all false, completely false. The post includes a booking photo. This is Reuters speaking again. Post includes a booking photo of Gray released by the Barrow County Sheriff's Office after the attack and purported screenshot of Gray's social media account. The third photo is graphic showing 4 perpetrators in other U.S. attacks who are allegedly trans or non-binary, which Reuters previously addressed when it appeared in 2023 alongside similar false claims. Oh, interesting. Majority of U.S. mass shooters are cis men, not trans or non-binary people. This fact check is from 2023, March 31st. We'll take a look at it in a second. Let's continue with the other one. Less than 5%. Trans individuals represent less than 1% of the perpetrators in all mass shootings over the past decade, and about 2% involved in attacks specifically, according to the Gun Violence Archive. Statistical data on mass attacks vary based on how an organization defines and records the incidents. Let's use the natural reader to read it for us.
The GVA was formed in 2013 and defines, opens new tab, a mass shooting as 4 or more people shot resulting in injury or death, excluding the perpetrator. In 2023, GVA Executive Director Mark Bryant told Reuters that transgender suspects accounted for 0.11% of all U.S. mass shootings it recorded in the last decade.
0.11 attacks in the last decade. Trans people accounted for 0.11%. If these people are to be believed, like Stu Peters, for example, they're responsible for every mass attack. Every mass attack. Remember, that's what they said. Every one of them, all of them. It is 0.11%. You know what that means? It's 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000.
In 2023, GVA Executive Director Mark Bryant told Reuters that transgender suspects accounted for 0.11% of all U.S. mass shootings it recorded in the last decade. Transgender perpetrators continue to make up a very small minority in both overall mass shootings and at schools specifically, Bryant said in a September 2024 phone interview. A search of the entire GVA database opens new tab in September 2024 with incident.
That's really annoying. It keeps saying open new tab when it gives me the option to read more. A search of the entire gun violence database in September 2024 with incident characteristic filters for mass shootings, school incident, and trans suspect returns just one result, referring to a 2023 Nashville attack that killed 6 people in which the suspect reportedly identified as trans.
The GVA database records opens new tab, a total of 50 mass school shootings since 2012, meaning that 1 in 50 or 2% of the total was associated with a transgender suspect. Limiting the search to the past 2 years yields 1 in 20 or 5% of mass school shootings involving a transgender suspect. Similarly, a 2023 report opens new tab on mass attacks in public spaces from 2016 through 2020 by the National Threat Assessment Center showed only 3 of the 180 attackers, or 2%, were transgender, page 19. Only one of these 3 carried out their attack at AK-12 school, Alexandria Worley, a spokesperson for the U.S. Secret Service, said in an email.
So what this means is, as they said, what did they say up here in the article? 4% or... All right, 1.6% of the U.S. population, 1.6% is trans. 1.6%. And that means that these numbers roughly match their proportion in society. Except in 2023, Mark Bryant, director of GVA, told Reuters that trans suspects accounted for 0.11% of all U.S. mass shootings it recorded in the last decade. So we have way more mass shootings than we do school attacks, and since we have a smaller sample size, the percent isn't going to be like a fraction, like 0.11. It's going, since it's like 1 to 100, it's going to be a flat percent, like 2%, 3, 4%. So we have 1 in 20 in one case, 1 in 50 in another. The point is that we have a single example of it, one example within a certain time frame. We're dealing with a proportion of people that is at the very best the exact same as their proportion in society, and more realistically is even lower than their proportion in society. So I don't want to hear any of this shit. It's just like embarrassing and sad, honestly. It's embarrassing and sad that these people cannot get a grip on reality. We're talking about like one person here, like two or three, maybe. Just step back a little bit. Listen to what Stu Peters says again.
How many of the recent school shootings can be credited to a gender dysphoric mental?
One, maybe. He said recent. I don't think any. I mean, depending on how you define, you mean like 10 years ago? Is 10 years ago recent? The answer is basically zero.
Mentally ill. So yeah, they're dangerous people. So yeah, I'll talk to Rob Smith and
Okay, they're dangerous people. Interesting. I appreciate that line of logic you're using there. Now, when we look at the statistics of cis white men that commit these attacks, will you come to the same conclusion? When we look at the percent of people in the KKK that are white and straight and cis and all that other junk, can we conclude that they're dangerous too? Will you accept that the KKK is a terrorist organization? Of course he won't, because he's probably a member. He's certainly an intellectual fan or whatever of the ideology.
I told the people that work for me, yeah, I'll talk to Rob Smith and he can come on, and I would love.
Right. Again, he's a conservative that's gay.
Love to talk about this. I think that's a great conversation. And no, I don't think that. And I don't think that. Look, I've been critical of Trump. Yes, I am critical of Trump. Do I like Trump? Did I vote for Trump? No, I didn't vote for Trump. Trump is not the 2015 President Trump that I just absolutely loved. I mean, that was the message of the American people, because it wasn't Trump the man. For me, it never has been. I don't worship men. I don't bow to men. I don't put men on a pedestal. I definitely don't put women on a pedestal, but I worship Jesus Christ.
What a fascinating thing to say. I don't put men on a pedestal. I don't worship men. I definitely don't put women on a pedestal. Why was he so dead set on emphasizing the fact that he doesn't put women on a pedestal? Is loving women gay? Guys, is it gay to love your wife? Aside from that, I found it super fascinating that he said that he follows Jesus Christ, because I don't know if you've seen the other parts to this, but his whole bit through this entire thing was talking about being a white supremacist. He said a white exceptionalist. I believe that white people are superior. That's what he said, quote unquote. And I know he's lawsuit happy, so I'm trying to be super careful here and make sure that I'm quoting him accurately. I mean, you can go back and listen to what he said yourself in the previous part. But how can you both simultaneously love Jesus and also hate certain groups of people based on intrinsic qualities about them that, like, God gave them, if you will, that they're created with? How can those two things exist in your head simultaneously? And the answer is he's got two competing ideologies, two moral frameworks in his head, and one of them overrides the other when it becomes important or when it becomes relevant. One of his moral frameworks is Christianity. The other is white supremacy. And he's decided to go with white supremacy, I guess, as the overarching, important moral framework that he wants to represent himself.
But, it wasn't Trump the man. It was Trump the message. Because Trump's message in 2015 going into 16 was the resounding message of the American people who want the government the fuck out of their business.
Really? That's what you're shooting for? You want the government out of your business? The thing is, he wants the government out of his business, but not other people's business. He doesn't want gay people to be allowed to exist. He wants black people to be segregated in society. So does he want the government out of his business? Yes, but not everyone else's.
And he was speaking that talk. He was perfectly downloading, almost like he was an AI bot. He was perfectly downloading the sentiment of the American people and flawlessly regurgitating it.
Yeah, it's called populism, you poor dumb fool. People do this. People have done this since the beginning of time. They appeal to certain grievances the working class has and it grabs them by the heartstrings. 2016 was the year of the populist. 2024 is the year of the fascist. Usually they go hand in hand, but populism, I've come to find, precedes fascism a lot of the time.
At every one of the appearances that he was making, starting with his trip down that escalator. This was what all of the blue-collar, 9-to-5, lunch pail carrying, truck driving American middle-class man was thinking and was discussing at his dinner table. Now all of a sudden this iconic hero Trump is out there using his bullhorn to broadcast that sentiment. And to me, that was awesome. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I've never supported Trump or that I don't support the message, because I do, and I did, and I always will. And I'll applaud him when he does something that I think is great or makes our country safer or more prosperous or more free. When, our country is put first and its people and their interests are put at the top of the priority list, and not just first, but only. I only give a damn about America, and I only give a damn about Americans.
Interesting. This is pure, unadulterated nationalism. He is actually perfectly mirroring Hitler's ideological framework or his moral framework in a lot of ways. Like, that's absolutely wild.
I don't care about Jews. I don't care about Asians. I don't care about blacks.
And what he means is not that he doesn't care about them. He very much does care. It's that he doesn't care about their well-being. He does care if they're involved in society. He thinks they should be segregated from white people.
I don't care about the Japanese or the Germans or whatever the hell the Italians or the French have going on. I just don't care. I care about America, and I care about Americans.
And when he says Americans, he means white. White, straight, cis people. I guess including women, as long as they're willing to be housewives. Or housefraus, as one might say.
And I want America protected from invaders that would wish to come here and subvert or devalue anything that we have going on here.
And I hear you thinking to yourself, what does that mean? Invaders coming to the United States to devalue whatever? He's not talking about an enemy army. He's talking about Mexicans or like Venezuelans or people who are suffering terribly at the hands of an oppressive government come here as refugees. He doesn't want them here. Immigration is so phenomenally good for an economy. Why wouldn't he want that in the United States? It's incredibly helpful to an economy to broaden or to expand it, to make it grow. Why would he not want that? There's only one reason I can think of. The same reason the KKK doesn't want it.
Because we're a real country with a real identity and borders, with real ideologies and real morals and a real spirituality. We're not just some construct. We're not the melting pot, and diversity is not our strength.
It actually is. It is, as a matter of fact. He's repeating Nazi dog whistles and talking points right now. To believe that white people are the savior of society or whatever. This is all Nazi dog whistle stuff. Listen one more time.
We're not just some construct. We're not the melting pot, and diversity is not our strength.
One common way of communicating this is to say that humans are not interchangeable economic units or something to that effect. And the implication is everybody is different. They all have different values and principles and ideals and everything else. But the underlying implication, being a Nazi dog whistle, is that some human beings, some races of people are superior to others. Like, you take a random set of American programmers born in America, raised in America, take a random sample set of like 10 of them. We've got 2 Indians, a Russian, 3 people from Scotland, just a random set of people, and a Native American. Nazis like Stu Peters believe the Indians in that group of people are inferior to the white people in that group. He believes that Russians are partially white and as such are superior to the Native Americans, to the Indians, to the Mexicans. And what's his basis for believing this? Well, he'll claim that it's science. It's not. It's religion. It's supernatural belief. Let me put it that way. Whether it's religion is immaterial. It's supernatural belief. He supernaturally believes that white people are supernaturally powerful, smart, strong. It's the exact Aryan myth that Hitler adhered to.
And I just can't stand these liberal Karens, these white, middle-aged, white, liberal, white Karens. I hate them.
Can you tell me what skin color they are one more time?
I don't mean that. I mean, obviously, I know I don't hate people.
Bullshit. Yes, he does. Why is he even pretending? Of course he hates people.
So I'll repent for saying that, but they'll literally run out of their way to go open the door for a black because they're a black.
I have no idea who you're referring to. Is there did you see this thing happen somewhere? Like, who did this? What are you complaining about right now? There is such a thing as God, I don't remember the name of it now. It's some like white guilt or something like that, where sometimes white people in America recognize how absolutely bad, how disturbing the history of the black community has been in America. And when they see or interact with or work with a black person to any degree, they try to overcompensate for that by being extra nice or doing extra stuff for them or whatever. That does exist. That is a phenomenon that exists. And it's a kind of a soft bigotry, if you will. It's kind of like a paternalistic, like they need my help type of bigotry. Probably don't do that. But he's acting like people are cucks, I guess, or something. Like, I don't know what word to describe here. He's acting like they're cucks for feeling the effects of the history, feeling the effects of their history that they, that their ancestors experienced.
Hope you're having a great day today. No, you don't.
Well, it's probably something like how Germans treat Jews, I would imagine. And honestly, it's very similar. The black community was treated very much like Jews are treated in Germany, like to a degree that is disturbing and wild. Hitler based his race laws and stuff off of U.S. race laws. Really. Hitler's Nuremberg laws were basically banned people from taking part in society or marrying or whatever if they had one non-Aryan grandparent. And non-Aryan was anybody that was Jewish, anybody had been to a synagogue, or had slept with somebody that was Jewish or whatever. It actually covered more than just Jews. It was also like black people and stuff. Anyway, if you had one non-Aryan grandparent, then you couldn't participate in society. You were considered non-Aryan at that point. It was very similar to the U.S.'s one-drop rule. If you have one drop of black blood or whatever in your system, then you are tainted, effectively. That was like the kind of the viewpoint on it at the time. It's all very similar to how the United States handled race laws. So anyway, try to reframe it in your mind into a situation where he's talking about Jewish people in Germany. A German opens a door for a Jew in Germany and is like, what's wrong with you? Care about your people.
I hate them. I don't mean that. I mean, obviously, I know I don't hate people.
Of course he does.
So I'll repent for saying that, but they'll literally run out of their way to go open the door for a black because they're a black. I hope you're having a great day today. No, you don't. Because secretly you go home and wash your hands.
Okay, I don't know about anybody else. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. People go home and wash their hands. It's really weird that Stu Peters would even say that. Like, is this something that he does? Like, when he sees a black person and he interacts with them, are you telling me that you wash your hands when you see them? Why would you do that? Do you think that they have unique germs that like other people don't have? What a vile human being. Really. Does it get more overt and vile than this? I mean, try to frame this up as what it really is. This is precisely like a Jewish person living in Germany. And in this scenario, Stu Peters is the German. You don't care if this Jew has a good day. You go home and wash your hands when you shake their hand. You don't want to get, their germs on you or whatever? What is broken in this guy's head? And he says, I don't hate people. I'll repent for saying I hate people. You think that's the thing you need to repent for? As Marcel Paul says, he's thinking everyone is actually as racist as me in secret. They're just not being honest about it. Yeah. They're just not like coming out and saying it. I'm the only honest one. No, people are not as racist as you. In fact, I would venture to guess almost nobody in the United States is as racist as him. But the ones that are the ones that are like leading important positions, like the head of the KKK, for example. And the KKK is affiliated with government office and lobbying groups and stuff. The writers of Project 2025 are associated with white nationalism. They are white nationalists. So I don't think that most people in the US are like this, but the most important ones are, and that's what's disturbing. And the rest of us that aren't like this are indifferent to it, don't even know it's happening, don't even know that there are people out there like this, let alone people like this in positions of power. That's one of the most important, what do you call it, like one of the most important lessons I had to learn, I guess. Most people aren't vile scumbags, but they're certainly unaware that vile scumbags are as common as they really are.
Like, or take a bath after being around one.
I'm sorry, dude. Step back one more time. You take a bath after being around a black person? Holy shit, dude. Just coming out and saying it.
I hope you're having a great day today. No, you don't. Because secretly you go home and wash your hands. Like, or take a bath after being around one. You know, I hate this fake, like, just be hated.
Be hated? Is he saying stop pretending to like people? It's just come out and be as racist as you really are and be hated for it? Jesus, dude. Really, like, get help. Honestly. Sometimes I say that in a joking way. I'm not joking here. Like, this guy needs help immediately. How does one live with such vile hate in his heart?
It's okay. If you're hated, then you're doing something right.
No, that's not true. Okay, well, I'll put it this way then. I'm hated by Republicans, by Stu Peters, as a race traitor, I guess you could say, for believing that, we shouldn't hunt down the homeless for sport or black people for sport or something. Holy Christ.
Because that means that you're convicted in your principles. And
I'm convicted in my principles.
that means that you're not willing to bend, not for money, not for clicks or likes or popularity, not because you're part of some stupid faction or movement of a faction that's inside of the X space. It's all fake.
Jesus Christ. I really want to get a tattoo that says, I'll break before I bend, I'll die before I break. I think that's a metal tattoo to get. I also intend to get a tattoo that says, I will make my way through one more day in hell. I think that'd be pretty cool too.
Like, what are you really doing? At least be hated by somebody. At least have an opinion, have some testicular fortitude, grab a hold of your manhood and your nutsack and your balls and put them on the table.
Nutsack and balls. All of it. Okay? And put it all on a table. What is wrong with this guy? Why would I do that? I don't need to do that. Are you trying to prove that you have them? I feel like if you're trying to prove you have them, then maybe there's a deeper issue at play here. What broke in this guy's head, really?
Tell somebody what you're all about. But the problem is, none of them are about shit. They don't believe in anything. And Rob Smith, the power bottom, is a perfect example of that.
Rob Smith, the power bottom. Wow, bro. What is wrong with you? Why can't he just not fantasize about gay dudes? Can he keep his thoughts to himself for 20 minutes, please? He knows a bit too much about gay terminology. I know, almost like he sat there Googling gay terminology for like an hour and a half, trying to understand the logic, the process behind it or something. What are you doing? Really?
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of groups out there talking about how pro-freedom and pro-America first they are. No, they're not.
Yes, they are. It's called freedom. Yes, they are pro-freedom. Absolutely. If they are in favor of people living their lives and doing their thing and not imposing their will on others, then that would be pro-freedom.
They're not. They just don't care.
Great. Yeah, that's pro-freedom. You don't care what other people are up to.
You know, they don't have a set of beliefs that they stand on.
So you have to care about what other people are up to, or you're not pro-freedom. You cannot be pro-freedom unless you care what other people are doing. Okay, that's a new one.
They don't have anything that makes them tick. Rob Smith doesn't have a family and kids. No, because he doesn't have sex with women. He doesn't do what God intended for him to do.
Well, I mean, he can have a family still, and he can have kids. They can have kids through surrogates or adoption or whatever. There are a billion options here.
And I pray that he repents and walks away from the disgusting, filthy, degenerate homosexual lifestyle that he lives and actually finds some purpose and some value in his life. And these people, these America First fakes, they act like they're going to go fight tooth and nail and never stop when it comes to protecting and preserving our country and our civil liberties, especially our First Amendment right to free speech. They all talk this big effing game.
Right. I don't think that Stu Peters is in favor of the First Amendment.
They have cool little buzzwords that they throw around. They spend time on TV. Rob Smith's all over the Fox News channel all the time. Of
I've never actually heard of Rob Smith. I don't have any clue who he's talking about.
course. And he's talking about everything from Kim Kardashian fashion to, the last thing that President Trump did. So don't tell me that this isn't in your wheelhouse when I'm asking you who it is that controls our government. And do you have concerns about Donald Trump being paid $100 million by a Jewess?
What an absolutely psychotic thing to say. $100 million by a Jewess. Yeah, I think he's talking about Miriam Adelson. And I have a problem with Trump being paid by billionaires also. But to call her a Jewess, the word Jewess is something that I don't hear outside of Nazi literature, ever. I've never heard anybody call anybody else a Jewess, unless it was like in literature that the Nazi Party was, like propaganda materials released by the Nazi Party, pretty much. That is wild, dude.
Are you concerned with an overrepresentation in our government? Do you think that I should be banned from speaking on the internet because I have been critical of Israel?
No, absolutely not. I do not feel that way. I don't think you should be banned for that. I think you should be banned for violent hate, violent extremism, or I don't know, something. I haven't even thought about it very much. I'd have to think about it more.
And people like Rob Smith, they take to the internet or they go on TV and they talk about how they're on the front lines of the culture war because every now and then they'll poke their head up and defend some guy who got fired for making a joke about a tranny or some lady who got a citation for flying a giant American flag off of her apartment balcony. And in doing so, they'll...
What is he talking about? A woman that got fined for flying a flag? I'm sorry, man. I'm just having a hard time believing you on this one.
Make sure that they tell you Rob Smith he'll bleed till his gums are blue, unnaturally.
What does that mean? I feel like that's some gay stereotype or something.
And tell you that he's the ultimate truth-seeking warrior.
Yeah, Elysian, I think, is how it's pronounced. Elysian accurately points out, you're not critical of Israel, you're hateful of Jews. Right, that's the thing. I'm critical of Israel. Being critical of Israel is good, in my opinion. Because Israel is like depraved right now. You're not opposed to Israel or critical of Israel. You fucking hate Jews. There is a distinct difference. I don't even know that I've heard him be critical of the country of Israel. I haven't. Yeah, I come to think of it, I haven't heard a single critical word about Israel from Stu Peters. All I've heard is slander and lies and vile hate for Jews. I don't think he's said a word about Israel. Being critical of Israel would involve talking about how badly they are treating Palestinians, for example, or how badly they're treating like other minority groups or whatever in the area. He hasn't said a word about that. He doesn't give a fuck about those people. He cares about Jews and ruining them any way he can. It's absolute, unadulterated psychosis.
And that Rob Smith and TPUSA and Charlie Kirk and whatever organization they belong to are the definition of America First, the definition of principled conservatism, and that you need to fall in line and probably send them some money. I mean, we see it all the time, over and over again, time and time again. And every so often, there's some kind of TPUSA shill or Young Republicans figurehead who builds up this online presence overnight. They're appearing all over the Fox News channel. They start opening and opining on these milquetoast goings-on. They do interviews with the Daily Wire and they talk about all the great work that they're doing and soliciting donations.
There's a jealousy or something? I don't understand why he's complaining about people like going on and getting popular.
These people are just total frauds, like Rob Smith. They're cowards, and everybody can see that they're cowards. These are the type of people who will, just go on camera and talk about how they're saving free speech and saving America. And then these MAGA conservatives, these brainwashed people, because they see it on Fox, they're like, yeah, so what, Stu? So what that he's a homosexual? So like, what are you going against Trump now? Are you disavowing Trump?
Because Trump supports this person? I don't have any idea what the connection is.
Like, what is that? Some kind of a carnal sin?
Yes, absolutely. It is in their mind. I really it's so fascinating to me that Stu Peters and I are finding things to agree on here. That Donald Trump members or like followers or whatever are in a cult, full blown, and it's not even just a cult, it's a religion, a religious group, a theology. It's so fascinating to me that this full blown neo-Nazi is critical of Trump to any degree.
I disagree with President Trump.
I mean, he voted for him, of course.
So am I going to hell? Like, will my prayers be hindered now and go?
The answer is yes, your prayers will be hindered, and you are going to hell if you don't stand behind Trump completely. In the Trump theologist's mind, I'm not joking. Like, they believe that he's filling the role that Jesus was supposed to fill when he returns, the Son of Man, and not supporting him in any way is denying Jesus. That's the theological belief. Seriously.
Go unheard and, Daddy Trump, and I disagreed with him and that challenged you. Like, really? Do you live your life based on what President Trump says and just revere it as gospel?
Yes. They absolutely do. Yes.
These people are sick. But if you mention Israel to these people like Rob Smith, if you mention being censored or silenced because you've been critical of Trump or been critical of Israel or Benjamin Netanyahu, or you're concerned about, an organization or some Jewess, basically.
Really, again, why? Why are you so obsessed with quote unquote Jewesses? What a thing to say.
Buying a presidency for $100 million. If you're concerned about that, they run away. If you dare mention Israel or Jews or AIPAC.
That's because they're Zionists. They believe that Israel has a claim to, Jews have a claim to the land of Israel, and that Israel must exist there in the Middle East before Jesus can come back. And even more than that, they believe that Israel must control all of Jerusalem and have a temple built on the Temple Mount, where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is right now. That is part of the belief system, and that's what they're working toward. It's only a matter of time before they try to take over the entire Middle East. Like, this is just, this Gaza thing, it's one small step. In the Old Testament, I know this is a little bit off subject, but in the Old Testament, King David united the entire Middle East, the whole region. The Fertile Crescent is what it's called. Stretches down to modern-day Iraq and Iran. Let me pull up a map. The Fertile Crescent, if you're looking at the map here, it kind of stretches from the Red Sea here, is what it's called, I believe. Isn't that what it's called? What's the name of this? I think this is the Red Sea. Anyway, stretches from right here, goes up through the Gaza Strip, and up this entire region here. This whole spot stretches down to Iraq, Kuwait, and actually, I think that it stops at Iran, but they likely wouldn't stop at Iran. Israel, that's what King David controlled, or a large portion of it, in the year 1000 BCE, give or take. And when he died, he left it all to King Solomon, his son, and it pretty much immediately broke apart. The reason, or the way in which David captured that whole area was by marrying all of the leaders' daughters. And when he died, they tentatively agreed to stay in David's kingdom. But Solomon basically said, we're going to crack down and we're going to force them to pay more tariffs and all this other stuff. And or taxes, whatever. And they, it all fell apart at that point. Solomon was not an intelligent person. He was not wise. He was dumb as dog shit. And he liked cutting babies in half. Honestly, that story isn't even true. The baby cutting thing, baby cutter Solomon, he never did that. Anyway, Jews, modern day Zionists that are in Israel right now, intend to take the entire Fertile Crescent again. Right now, there's a mosque right here in Jerusalem, which is split up. Jerusalem is half in the West Bank and half in Israel. The West Bank is owned by Palestine. And there's a mosque there called the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and people do like pilgrimages to it and stuff. Israel has been just moving people into the West Bank, just like taking guards in alongside these people, and they've been walking into like Palestinians' houses and laying down on their bed, and that's it. And the military personnel that came with them hold a gun to the Palestinians' heads and say, they're sleeping. Don't wake them. Really. So Israel is trying to take the West Bank right now. But in the end, the goal is the whole Fertile Crescent again. So they intend to take this little section right here, North Sinai Governorate, Israel, the Gaza Strip. They intend to take the West Bank, Jordan, and Iraq. I'm not sure about Saudi Arabia. I haven't heard that they have any aspirations for that. That's not even in the Fertile Crescent anyway, to my knowledge. Syria is probably included in this whole thing. Kuwait is probably included. Maybe up to the border of Iran. Maybe some of Iran. I'm not sure. Hell, maybe they want to take the whole Middle East. The reason that David wanted to own that is because it's a land bridge between Africa and Asia and Europe. Any trade that travels to or from Africa goes through Israel. It must. And they get a cut of everything. That's the point. And the Zionist extremists in that region right now believe that they have been given the right to own that land by God. God gave that to them. And anybody standing in the way is standing in the way of God and is deserving of death, basically. Anyway, all of that, like, nuance or whatever, Stu Peters doesn't give a shit about any of it. Stu Peters cares about hating Jews because they're, like, shifty and evil and all this other shit. That's all that's on his mind.
Yeah, they have an undue influence over American politics, Rob.
Wow, it's fascinating that he used that word. That's a word that is used to refer to, like, cult control.
And the media and social media and culture and entertainment. And when you ask them about it, they don't know what to say. They just don't know what to do. They're pre-programmed, empty brain, because that's what these people are. They're empty. I don't want to say empty suits because it's too cliche. People will dismiss it. These people have no soul.
They have no soul because they're Jewish. Jews have no soul. Well, I guess he's talking about, like, conservative gay people too, I suppose, right? Like Rob? But he's talking about Rob's support of Israel.
They're literally just empty beings, just like lumbering around, doing nothing of any value or importance or difference making.
Says Stu Peters.
Or noble or righteous.
Says Stu Peters.
They have no purpose. They have no soul. They have nothing.
No, I mean, people all have their own purpose and meaning and all of that.
What does Rob Smith have if you take his Fox News appearances and his X account away?
Well, he'll always have your mom. Aside from that, he is a political commentator, and he has a family. And why do you care? Why is it any of your business? It's not.
What makes Rob Smith like this champion? I'll tell you what. It's because he's a...
Sorry, guys. That's just Stu Peters for you. I'm doing my best here.
It's his whole identity. He's a power bottom, and he takes up his...
Okay, now we're jumping forward.
So...
Sounds like a good time.
He's a black guy with big lips and eyeliner.
Oh my God, dude. Are you shitting me right now? I really want to hear what he has to say about this, but I don't want to go back to the power bottom stuff. See, it's always a risk listening to Stu Peters on air because he's like this.
So he's a black guy with big lips and eyeliner who has with other men and on it and craves it and then identifies as a conservative that supports Donald Trump and
Like, really, this guy spends entirely too much time thinking about gay dudes. Seriously. I don't understand how somebody who is not gay themselves thinks about gay dudes this much. Like, is that just me? Like, I'm really questioning his sexuality at this moment, honestly.
suddenly millions of people are like, yeah, I love this guy. What? Can you point to something? Can you point to an accomplishment? Well, he was in the military. He's done more for this country than you ever have, Stu. Really?
I mean, yes.
So he is a black power bottom pillow biter, highway ride.
I'm telling you, dude, he is gay. Who thinks about this stuff to this degree? Again, I'm jumping past the slurs, but oh my God, who thinks about this unless they're gay? I don't think about straight sex this much. And this dude is it's like he's sat around coming up with as many terms for gay people as he can possibly come up with. I'm saying this 100% seriously. No smile on my face. I think he's gay. I think Stu Peters is gay, actually. Again, I don't think about like anything this much. This is wild.
And he says that he likes Trump. So yeah, he's great. But don't ask him a real question. Like, don't ask Rob Smith to engage in real discourse because that's not in his wheelhouse.
Bro, I think everybody was okay with you engaging in real discourse. I don't think that they wanted you to be a complete shitbag is all. But, Stu Peters, we're asking too much of Stu Peters here.
And it's not just Rob Smith. And that's why I was greatly excited about having Rob Smith on. And when they were like, somebody got this miscommunicated, there's no way this guy really wants to come on the program. Stu, there's obviously nothing in common here. There's like, what's the upside to having Rob Smith on?
Well, he can talk trash about a gay guy to his face for an hour straight, I suppose. The beginning of this show, he had a guest on, and the guest is just gone. He didn't say goodbye to the guy. He didn't ask him any questions. He just got into a monologue, and that was the end of it. Like, why did he even have the guy on?
And I was like, no, this is actually perfect. Because if he really truly doesn't know who I am and his bookers haven't looked into me and he wants to come on the program, everybody knows what I'm going to do. We're going to have real conversation and ask real questions and talk about real things that.
What he means is he's going to insult him and call him all kinds of slurs until he gets sick of hearing slurs, at which point he will just leave, early. That's what he means when he says real questions. Those aren't real questions. Those are just slurs. You want to ask real questions, then ask him policy questions. Ask him if his logic about policy adds up. Dude says he wants, taxes cut for the rich. Why? Exactly. That's a policy question. No matter what he answers, it's a policy question. You're just calling him slurs. That's not substantive in any way. There is no value to you just using slurs all the time.
That affect people at their dinner tables, which is exactly why.
What? Real questions that affect people at their dinner tables? You think that Rob Smith being gay affects people at their dinner tables? Is that what he just said?
The populists supported President Trump in 15 going into 16. That's what I'm talking about. It's the message because it's spoken with conviction and it means something and it makes a difference. Rob Smith has never said or done anything that's made a difference in anybody's life. He is an empty body, just this lizard-like being who's.
Oh my God, dude, please. Why are you doing this? Maybe I should stop watching this guy in all seriousness because he cannot help but to think about being gay. That is the only thing on the dude's mind, really. Honestly, I don't think about anything this much. Anything.
Loves it, supports Trump. One day he will grow old, become irrelevant, and die, and nobody will even remember who the hell he was. He will have accomplished nothing other than.
All right, that's it. I can't do it anymore. I'm calling it there. We're jumping forward.
Completely destroy them.
This dude is disgusting. Honestly. Bottom of the barrel, lowest piece of trash on planet Earth to say some shit like this. I've truly never heard somebody say that stuff let me rephrase. I've truly never heard somebody talk about it this much. Jesus Christ. How does this guy have an audience? I'll tell you. There are a disturbing number of people out there like him, that agree with him, that like his ideas, that like calling gay people slurs. God, I'm gonna have so much editing to do on this. I'm gonna have to just delete it after the stream. Oh my God, bro. I have what you might call a moral policy. God, I used up like 3 fairies just now trying to survive that bokoblin because I was so focused on what he was saying. I have a policy about people. I don't wish death on anybody. I don't believe that, I believe that life is the most important thing in the universe and everybody can be redeemed. Everybody. Everybody should have the opportunity to be redeemed. But Nazis are putting that to the test. They're putting that resolve to the test. Like, do I make an exception for Nazis on this front? I don't think so, but I'll be damned if they aren't making me think it over real hard. People like him. Like, honestly, who the thinks about it that much? Really? Truly. There are gay people in my audience that have told me they don't think about it that much. Anyway, tell me what you think about this dude. He is the lowest of the low. And you know what else is sad about this? I'm sorry, one more thing. You know what's really sad about this? Stu Peters is popular. Like, really popular. He goes on all kinds of TV shows. He works with all kinds of people that you may not even expect. He has people on like Greg Locke. Greg Locke has been on Stu Peters' show before. Seriously. This is why I got to cover the guy. Oh, dude, I forgot about this video from Stu Peters. Damn. Kyle Rittenhouse's lawyer was on Stu Peters, for example.
Let's talk about this attack on you. This was really interesting to watch. So first you have what appears to be a well-rehearsed young man reading from a script on a...
Now you should understand what Stu Peters is about, and you should be just as disturbed as I am by how many people come on his show. That's Kyle Rittenhouse's lawyer, and it's Donald Trump's lawyer too, Linwood. Candace Taylor was on there.
You're going to absolutely destroy the Georgia Guidestones, demolish them, bulldoze them, and reject their demonic message once and for all. You're the only candidate willing to go head-to-head.
In fact, Stu Peters didn't just have her on. Stu Peters did this whole, ran her campaign for her. This is Sherry Tenpenny. Remember the woman that said that keys stick to your body after getting the vaccine?
Stated goal is to depopulate the planet, and the ones that are left either make them chronically sick or turn them into transhumanist cyborgs that can be controlled by and manipulated externally.
She was on there too. She was on Stu Peters. Carrie Lake, the new Voice of America news broadcast that is like federally funded, a federal program.
It's great to be back on. Yeah, I mean, fake is a good way of describing it. We've got fake elections, we get fake results, and then we get a fake government. And right now we have squatters sitting in the state house.
Talking about Biden. I mean, I have countless examples of Stu Peters going on people's show. Here's Joel Webbin on his show.
Pastor Joel Webbin, amazing conversation before we go, and I'm going to run over time, but I don't care. Will you take us out in prayer?
Yes, sir. Father, we thank you for Jesus Christ.
And maybe even more disturbingly than any of that, we have Kash Patel, the new FBI director, on here.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Always love coming on your show.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it. See you soon.
I got to go, Kash. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
up
Stu.
against a hard break here. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Stu.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Stu. Appreciate it.
This isn't repeating, by the way.
You've got a great show.
Thank you.
New FBI director. The point is that he is a piece of trash, but he's a famous piece of trash. I don't know how it gets lower than that, though. Like, that is truly, deeply disgusting shit. To be so obsessed with gay people like that, to that degree. I would say get help, but I don't know that that's even appropriate here. Instead of saying get help, I'm going to say get out of the closet, Stu. Just get out of the closet, honestly.